first of all, we know that time in the market is just a fool's errand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every time you invest, you really want to invest from a long term point of view. You want to invest in quality
Yeah.
assets. And when you invest in quality assets over time, they should go up. There's going to be some volatility because there always is. Like
Mm-hmm.
life is going life. Look, life is life, and for you, right? So life gonna life for that business too, right? Like, or whatever you decide to invest in. So it's important to find to find quality assets that you can hold for a while, so that you can extract the a right amount of value.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Hey there, and welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I am your host, Monique T. Marshall. For so many of us, the road to building wealth has come with locked doors, missing keys, and people telling us we don't qualify. You've done the work, you've earned the degrees, you've built the businesses, you've put in the hours. Yet, when you hear about the kinds of investments that could truly multiply your money, it feels like those opportunities are reserved for someone else. And if we're being honest, sometimes we count ourselves out before we have even checked the price of entry. That lingering question, is this really for me? It keeps too many Black entrepreneurs on the sidelines while others quietly grow their wealth. I know that frustration, and I also know that it's not from lack of ambition. It is from lack of access, guidance, and clear steps. That is exactly why I am excited for today's conversation. I am joined by Stephanie A. Dorsey, an attorney, entrepreneur, and co-founder of Margins Capital, who has made it her mission to open those so-called exclusive investment doors. She has been where many of us are, successful on paper, but still feeling boxed out of the bigger plays. Through her journey from corporate law to global microfinance to leading investment portfolios, she has learned not only what alternative investments are, but how to make them work for everyday entrepreneurs like you. She knows the real barriers that keep us out, and she is breaking them down one by one. In this episode, we're digging into how to invest beyond the traditional routes, what it means to invest at your own pace without sacrificing your peace, and how to start even if you think you're too late or not ready. Stephanie is sharing the mindset shifts, the practical framework, and the long game strategy to help you create lasting wealth on your terms. If you have ever felt the sting of being left out of the wealth conversation, this is your invitation to pull up a chair and claim your seat. So let's get into it. Stephanie, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I am so happy to have you on the show. We have already had so much fun before we even started press record. So I'm so happy you're here for a good time and such an educational conversation.
Thank you for having me, Monique. And I want to give you your flowers. Like your voice and what you're doing is so absolutely important in our community. And I am so grateful. And I'm a fan of yours. And I'm just I just want to let you know, girl, you are appreciated. You out here doing God's work. And thank you for having me on your platform.
One, thank you so much for those kind words and our pleasure. Like we just love it. We love to amplify the work that everybody is doing like you. And I am so excited, one, to amplify the work that you are doing because you're really teaching the necessary of one legacy building, how we can do it differently, how we can start to invest in ourselves, but also do it another way. It's not just one way. And so I'm excited about today's conversation, which is all about investing at your own pace and a beginner's guide to alternative investing that is at your comfort zone. So before we get into all those things, Stephanie, if you could just take us back, tell us a little bit about you. What is it that you do in your business and how did you get here?
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I am a little Black girl. You will hear me say this all the time. I am a little Black girl from Saginaw, Michigan, a very small town in Michigan. A lot of people might not have heard of it. And I am an 80s baby. I grew up in the 80s. And I basically how do I say this? I created my vision for my life based on the Cosby Show. Like I wanted to be Claire
Mm.
Huxtable. I still want to be Claire Huxtable sometimes. And RIP to Malcolm Jamal Warner, who is my big honorary brother. But yeah, like even so, ever since I was 9 years old, I was like, I want to be a lawyer like Claire. Like I'm going to follow the path of Claire, and that's how I'm going to get out of Saginaw. And I did. I went to an HBCU. I went to Tennessee State.
Yes.
Yes, and after that, I went to University of Maryland School of Law, and I practiced for a couple of years doing medical malpractice defense litigation work, and I quickly learned that perhaps you shouldn't craft your career objectives off of a fictional character because I did not love. I didn't love it. I didn't. It was after my first year. I was like, I don't love this, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
well, somebody said it might be first year blues. And after the second year, I was like, nope, still don't love it. And so I did a hard pivot and I joined the Peace Corps. And I lived in Ecuador and lived in an Afro Ecuadorian community, which was just phenomenal. And I worked in microfinance. I started community banks with Afro Ecuadorian women's groups, and help them learn about managing money and making investments and earning more money. And so that was just a really dope experience. And after that, I gave myself permission to go to business school. And I use that phrase intentionally, gave myself permission, because I'm a first generation college graduate and I already have a law degree. So it's like, girl, like, do
Mm.
you really need to take out more loans to get more education? And I did. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do. And so I went to the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University outside of Chicago. And after that, I'm currently in Wilmington, Delaware. I moved over to Delaware and started working for ING Direct. So at the time, back in 2011, it was the largest online bank,
Mm-hmm.
and we were acquired by Capital One. And so I spent 10 years working in product management, technology, building consumer finance products. But after that, I wanted to change, and I
Mm-hmm.
joined my friend's company. He was a classmate from Kellogg, and I joined his company as his chief product officer. And after that time was over, the main question that product people ask themselves is like, what problem do you want to solve?
Mm-hmm.
Because I started looking at jobs, and before that, I was thinking about going to Google, chasing the bag. You know how that is, and
Mm-hmm.
but none of it resonated. Like none of it felt like something I should be working on. And then this same friend of mine, who I went to work for, I call him my independently wealthy white friend, and he is. And he asked me, "Hey, do you know any high net worth individuals who might want to invest in my friend's venture capital fund?" And two things stuck out. One, um, I was just like, well, that's not me. I'm not high net worth, even though I have a law degree.
Mm-hmm.
He and I went to the same business school, but I automatically discounted myself as being able to invest in this type of asset. And then, and really kind of the way he asked was like, yeah, not you. Like,
Mm.
do you know other people? And
Yeah.
so even though I discounted myself, fortunately, my best friend, who is actually my business partner, we speak very candidly about finances. And I knew she was in a financial position where she should be considering diversifying her portfolio to include an alt like VC or venture capital. And but as I started to do the due diligence for her, because she's a doctor, so she's like, girl, walk me through this.
Right.
And so I started to do all of that research for her. I was just like, ooh, I want to be investing in this, and I should be investing in this to hit my goals and what I want to do. And fortunately, she and I were able to create a joint venture so that because I couldn't invest a 200 at the time, it was a $200,000 investment minimum,
Mm.
but I was able to put money with her to invest. And so you asked me, how did I get to where I am now? And this story is
Mm-hmm.
pivotal because as I shared my like basically I shared all of that and my decision to ultimately invest in this fund
Mm-hmm.
with a group chat I have of women, Black women, all in technology. Let's just say the average, we were all in different companies at the time. There's only like 6 of us. and the average salary was like 175 to like 550K, right? Like,
Mm.
so it's a money in there. But and when I told them about my decision to invest, they were like, "Ooh, yes, tell me more." They
Mm-hmm.
work in tech, so they know about VC. They like, "Yes, how do I get in?" Like, blah blah blah. And as we started to really peel back the layers, and what ultimately became clear are their four main barriers to entry, and we could talk about that later. They were like, "Ooh, yeah, I that doesn't make sense for me to. I can't make this type of investment." And as I was sharing this with my best friend, it really just pissed us off because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
girl, what more do we have to do? Like, we're making more money than all our ancestors. Basically, we're doctors, we're lawyers, whatever, and we're still effectively shut out from this massive wealth generating investment class. And so that's why we founded Margins, to combat that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What a phenomenal story and journey. And just so many light bulb, but aha moments in there for people who are listening. It's just like, okay, we got to do something different. And then also, it's like there are different routes. I love that you talk about that. And I love the work that you all are doing. And in this conversation, it is about having those alternative routes to investing, doing so at your comfort level, because people feel like they have to do it this way because this is what society is telling us to do. And what you're saying is, no, we can make a plan for you and we can do it that way. So I first want to talk about one of the things I love is that you all start from that alternative investing standpoint. So really understanding what this means. So what exactly are alternative investments, and how are they different from those traditional investments like stocks and bonds?
Yeah, it's almost like alternative investments are massive, and you don't realize what is in the alternative investment category. So when I tell you the definition is, it's a one minus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything that's not a stock, a bond, or cash, if and then if it's something you can invest in to make money, it's considered an alternative investment. So to
Mm-hmm.
give you some examples: venture capital, we talked about that already.
Yes.
Private equity, we talked about that already. Real estate, like commercial real estate, big and small, as small as buying an apartment to put on Airbnb, as big as the stadium for the Allegiant Stadium where Beyonce ended her Cowboy Carter
Oh
tour.
yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not a hater. Like, everyone deserves. Um, but what else? So there's fine art, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, that could be the artist that's on the street corner, all the way
Mm-hmm.
on up to a Basquiat or a Picasso or a Monet, right? Those are investments.
Yes.
Um, Luxury goods. A lot of us might got a Louis Vuitton or something in there. I certainly have my mother's Gucci and Louis Vuitton from the 80s, and they have appreciated in value. Chanel bags are a really good one that shows, how they've appreciated in value. Hermes is a perfect example. The Birkin
Yeah.
bags are, continue to appreciate in value. Luxury watches, like sports memorabilia. The list goes on and on. Another one that a lot of people don't think about are movies. So,
Really?
girl, so here's the thing: in order to make a movie, it's its own little venture. You have to go out and you have to raise money,
Mm-hmm.
right? You raise this money, and then you hire all the people to produce the thing, shoot the thing, edit the thing, and then you sell the thing to streamers or to the movie theaters or whatever, and you get your money back on the back end. They're their own little individual businesses.
Yeah.
So it's basically everything around you is almost, if you can invest in it and make money from it, it's an alternative. If it's not a stock, bond, or cash.
Mm. Okay. Got it.
Yes.
So thank you for breaking that down. So one of the things is, of course, this is the Black to Business podcast. So we're talking to entrepreneurs who are maybe heading out of their 9 to 5 or leaping into entrepreneurship or just doing it for a minute. And so
Mhm.
one of the things I want to talk about is how was this alternative investment lane beneficial for entrepreneurs and especially those who are at those early stages as well?
Yeah. So here's the thing. if you're an entrepreneur and you're working at a startup or you have a company that's new, right? You yourself, you are already in the alternative asset ecosystem because you, like, if you're getting someone to invest in it, like via angel, or if you're trying to raise venture capital dollars, your business is
Mm-hmm.
in the ecosystem. You are the asset, right? Your
Yes.
business is the asset that someone is going to invest in and hopes it appreciate. So, you're already there, right? So so you know, yeah, like, so that's why you should understand how you fit in the ecosystem, and
Yes.
then understand how you want to potentially grow, because at some point, once your business grows, like, and the spillover, the extra capital that you have,
Mm-hmm.
you want to figure out how to invest it as well to continue to either continue to grow, or you're going to sell it, that, which is a private equity play,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to use that capital to, you want to invest that capital so that it continues to grow. That is literally how a generational wealth is created. If you think about Nvidia, and I'll probably talk about them. I mean, they're just one of my favorite. I have some favorite examples, but Nvidia, it has grown massively as they pivoted from gaming to GPU chips. But one of the things they do, they invest. They have so much capital.
Mm-hmm.
They invest through venture capital investments in other businesses to either, like, make sure they're staying, ahead of the game and understand what's going on. They're influencing the growth. They're multiplying their impact, as well as, there's an opportunity for them to do private equity investments, which is taking a majority stake position in some of these companies that they are put money in. And so
Mm.
you have that ability, right? If you're an entrepreneur that's, listen, we're all in this thing to make money. Like, yes, we are trying to help people. Yes, yes, yes. But I also feel like, as Black and brown people, we got to make money, and we're trying
Yes.
to win. Right. And so as you continue to grow, it literally just makes sense for you to consider how to invest in alternatives and use that as a force multiplier for your own financial growth.
I so agree. And even when you were talking about earlier your own journey and how people, I feel like a lot of people can relate in, okay, I don't know if I'm ready or I don't know if this is for me. I self select myself out. And I want to talk about with that, what are some of those common misconceptions or misunderstandings, myths that keep people away from exploring these investment opportunities?
I love this. So the first one is that you have to be wealthy, right? You
Mm-hmm.
already have to have made it, which for Black and brown people, like, it's a catch 22,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to, like, in order to have wealth, you got to invest to have wealth. So you can't wait till you have wealth to start
Right.
investing. So that's the first myth. You do not have to be high net worth. I have this podcast called What the Wealthy Do, and one of the things I say, like, you don't have to be wealthy to do what the wealthy do. Like, that's, you gonna play yourself waiting for, you gonna play yourself, right?
Don't play
um
yourself.
don't play yourself. Please don't play yourself in the year of Beyonce 2025. um like, come on,
That
not
is
now.
true.
Another misconception is that you have to be an expert,
Mm,
or that you just have to know all the things before you jump. You have to
right.
know certain, you have to know some things, right? But you don't want to wait until you are, like, an expert, in it,
Mm-hmm.
in order to jump. And you don't have to, you can learn this stuff. It's very intimidating, it is, like, but that doesn't mean that you don't have the capacity to learn. We are a resourceful,
Mm-hmm.
super bright, like, we're so good. Like, we're so
Mm-hmm.
amazing as a people. So I trust that you have the capacity to learn. And the other thing, let me see if I could think about it, because I had it in my brain. Um, your ignorance is sometimes your superpower, right?
Mm,
Because when I started margins, and I remember talking to some friends who worked in the financial space, and they were just like, but how is this going to work? And I'm like, don't worry about that. Like, it's, girl, we got this. Like, it was like, oh
Right.
no, don't worry. Like, well, how you gonna manage distribution? It's okay. We gonna use the internet. You see, they got this thing called it. You know what I mean? And so, but I say that in jest. I am happy that I didn't fully understand all the blockers because it would have stopped me.
Mm.
If I fully understood
Yeah.
everything, I wouldn't have jumped. Right.
Mhm.
And so fortunately I jumped because I knew the important stuff. And and I knew I could figure out the rest. And so all that to say is your ignorance can sometimes be a superpower. You just need to know the really important stuff and have confidence that you will figure out the rest.
Yes, that is so encouraging and motivating. And I love that you talk about the fact that you don't have to be an expert and you don't have to know all the things, but maybe you know the things that are important, like you said. And then
Mhm.
also, you know the people who know the things, like the work that you are doing at Margins Capital. So I want to talk about that. How are you all making that alternative investments more accessible to people?
Yes. So I mentioned that there were four barriers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to talk about them and try to be very brief. So the first is you have to be an accredited investor, right? And so the SEC defines accredited investor as a single person that makes $200,000 a year for the previous 2 years, or a married couple that makes $300,000 a year for the previous 2 years. And if you don't meet the income requirement, if you have a net worth of $1 million or more. So that's the first thing. And that can leave a lot of people out. And, I have some thoughts about whether or not that's just another form of systemic racism. It probably is, but we just, that's barrier number one. Barrier number two is a lot of funds that exist have these very high investment minimums. Like I mentioned, the first fund that we invested in, the investment minimum at the time was $200,000. Right now, it's $250,000. And that is really about average for a lot of investment minimums. And that is prohibitive for a lot of us, right? And then not only that, no, but not only that, the way that a lot of these funds are set up, they're so niched that you have to have a lot of knowledge to figure out where you want to invest. So let's take a venture capital fund. For example,
Okay.
first of all, you need to know. First of all, you need to know, do I want to do venture capital versus private equity versus commercial real estate? One. All right, let's say we decide to do venture capital. You need to know, do I want to do what stage of company I want to invest in? Do I want to invest in something that's early stage, like pre-seed or seed, where it's
Mm-hmm.
just an idea and it may or may not have traction? Or do I want to invest, I just need, it needs to have a little bit of traction, but I want to make more money, so I'm going to invest Series A? Or do you like, nope, I don't like all that risk. I want to invest in late stage, but it requires you to know all of that. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, it requires you to know which industry you want to invest in. Do you want to invest in healthcare tech or educational technologies or fintech or things like that? Because everything is so strategically narrow. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to know that. And if you don't work in the space, how would you, girl? And if you've been shut out of this space, how would you know these things? So that's the third barrier to entry. And the final one is it's still a highly networked space. So you have to like know somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it to get even access to it. And even still, you can go. I've heard stories from women that I knew that went to Harvard Business School or Stanford Business School that they thought that they were connected, and they had friends that were making these investments and didn't invite them to the party to invest.
Mm.
So it's really highly networked, and it is white male dominated. So it's really hard to get invited. But what we've done at Margins is to combat all of those. Now, we can't combat the accredited investor piece, but because it is what it is, that's the law.
Mm-hmm.
We don't break laws. I
Mm-hmm.
told you, I'm a lawyer. Um, But we have created a portfolio model, almost like an index fund model, where we have we invest across a portfolio of asset classes, and we have chosen the asset classes that we believe will mitigate risk and maximize returns. And so we invest in private equity, late stage venture capital, commercial real estate, and private credit. And we have investment minimums of as low as $25,000.
Mm, that's
And
good.
and because it's our job, our network is your network, right? So we are taking it upon ourselves to make sure that we are having the conversations with the right people and are getting access to the best deals so that we can share them with the folks, our limited partners.
That's amazing. I was just listening to a podcast with a entrepreneur who was saying like one of their first investments. They didn't even know they could do it until, or didn't see if it would see it possible for them until like a friend asked them, and they said their first check was like 30K, and
Mm-hmm.
they started there. So I love that you say like the 25K, so it's around that mark.
Yes,
That
exactly. And the goal, the long-term goal is for it to be even smaller,
mm,
right? It takes a little bit of money to manage, but yeah, the long-term goal is just, and actually there is a trend that's happening in the industry where you're having a lot more independent companies that are offering these type of investments at much smaller check sizes. So you don't
yeah.
have to just invest in a fund.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah. So I think we talked about all of the many ways of what alternative investments look like. I want to now transition into the importance of investing at your own pace.
Yes.
So, Stephanie, why is it important and essential for entrepreneurs to invest at their own pace?
You know what? I tell everyone, it's funny because I've had people come to me and they're like, yes, I want to invest. And they worry me to death. And I'm just like, you don't seem comfortable here, right? I
Hmm.
want to, because here's the thing, you got to be able to sleep at night.
Yes.
Because if you've invested in a thing and it's disrupting your sleep, which is like we all know, all the health gurus are telling us how important sleep is,
Yes.
then that's the wrong investment for you. It's important to me to think about alignment. I live my life in an aligned way. Like that is literally that's the goal. That's
Yeah.
before money, you really need to find personal alignment. And so, investing at your own pace is about finding the investment that matches like who you are, what's important to you, your risk tolerance,
Yes.
and that's going to help you like achieve your goals, right? So it's just important, like if you're investing in a thing because you think it's going to make money, but you can't sleep at night. For instance, I tell everyone like we've invested, for instance, in SpaceX, right? And we invested in SpaceX when Elon Musk was like persona non grata, right? Like he was loud and proud in front of Doge, and it was like so cringy and embarrassing. But what I told our limited partners is they gonna make money, right? And um, just because we're investing in SpaceX, that doesn't mean that we necessarily agree with his politics or anything like that. But we're not going to cut off our nose to spite our face and not make money, like, and not make our community money,
Mm.
right? And so, but we do have some things like I'm not going to invest in private prisons. I'm not going to invest in this alligator Alcatraz or whatever the heck it's called, where they're putting humans in cages that don't deserve to be there. And so it's just really important for you to to define for yourself
Hmm.
what your pace is and what alignment looks like for you, because at the end of the day it's about you being able to sleep and feel good about yourself
That's
and
true.
how you are deploying your capital.
Hmm. I love that. And it's like you said, that pace. And a part of that is having, to me, comes up patience. So I want to talk about how does having patience and in that investing process improve your long-term financial success, especially for business owners. We got to have that patience.
Yes, you do. Because listen, uh, first of all, we know that time in the market is just a fool's errand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every time you invest, you really want to invest from a long term point of view. You want to invest in quality
Yeah.
assets. And when you invest in quality assets over time, they should go up. There's going to be some volatility because there always is. Like
Mm-hmm.
life is going life is life and for you, right? So life gonna
Yeah.
life for that business too, right? Like or whatever you decide to invest in. So it's important to find to find quality assets that you can hold for a while, so that you can extract the a right amount of value. And then when I think about long-term investing, especially for Black people, and we think about how we were taught or not taught to
Mm-hmm.
manage money and invest. And then we were taught about, well, I mean, we're naturally a little bit more of a risk averse people. And I just did a podcast on this, and I think it's really because risk for us is a matter of life or death.
Yeah.
It just is, like,
Mm-hmm.
I use the example of Tamir Rice holding a BB gun, like, seemed pretty innocuous, right? Like Sandra Bland communicating how pissed she was, or frustrated, how about that she was being stopped, seems pretty innocuous, but it isn't. Or the Tulsa riots, right, in Black Wall
Yeah.
Street, starting a business didn't seem like that big of a deal in your own community, but it was, right? And so we, rightfully so, are a little bit more risk averse. And so the best way to combat that is investing in high quality assets. And those things are going to pay off over the long term. So it's good, right? Be patient, girl. It's fine.
Got to be patient.
Got
Love
to
that.
be. The good stuff, listen, the good stuff, it takes time. It takes
It
time to make
takes
something
time.
good.
Mm-hmm. I love that you drill down on that because it's like it's not overnight. And I think we live in this over sometimes it's
Oof,
like this microwave society. And then
girl.
the other aspect of that is the peer pressure to perform based on what's outside of us or what people are expecting us to do.
Hmm.
So I want to
Hmm.
talk about what advice do you have for those who feel overwhelmed by social media or that peer pressure around investing?
Can I just say, social media is it's a gift and a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the loud people on social media, or the people that have the biggest followers or whatever, are it's like the wild wild west out there. It
It
really
is.
is,
It
girl. It
is.
is, and it's scary and it's intimidating. And I look, my first thing I'm going to tell you is take a break when you need to take a break, step away when you need to step away.
Yes.
And I have done that a couple of times. It's funny, I am about to read, and it's still like it's been a couple of decades even, read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4 Hour Work Week. But he has this section, this part in there about um, intentional ignorance, or it's like basically it's just like you don't need to know everything all the time, and that's
Yeah.
okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's the first thing. Like you have to. And I'm teaching my 8-year old this, the things that we see online, because she is like, yeah, I saw it on YouTube. So it's true. Like, girl, that is not how the world works. So you can't you have to make sure that the point of view that you're receiving something from social media, you have the lens of, is this true? Like, maybe. Or understanding like this is a highlight reel, or understanding that this person is trying to get me to like this video, so it's trying to hook me in.
Yeah.
Also knowing that fear and getting rich quick schemes, the algorithm is going to reward those videos, because that it touches on that emotional trigger that we all have. We all trying to get more bread, and we all are a little scared,
Mm-hmm.
right? Another thing that my best friend, not my business partner, he's actually my advisor, but he said to me that the algorithm rewards your state of mind when you show up. And I'm
Mm.
like, tell me more. What he means is, If you are coming in anxious, you're likely going to watch that video that feeds into that anxiety, and then the algorithm is going to push more and more towards towards you, that matches that. For instance, when I come in and I unfortunately like on a Palestinian, on a Gaza and Israeli video, good God, I'm gonna see all of them. Or when I was right, or when I was freaked out over Trump and what he was doing and blah blah blah, and I watch one video, I like one video, and it's just gonna keep feeding me that. So make sure you are self-aware enough to know what state of mind you're currently in when you're on social media. And then if you are tripping and you're seeing these videos that's feeding into you tripping even more, take a step back. The other thing, though, is social media is the good part about social media is you do get to curate your algorithm to show you information that is important to you, or that is going to inform you, right? Right. So I feel like, I'm naturally hippie light, y'all. I was in the Peace Corps, y'all. So clearly. So, and I get stuff that's gonna make me feel good and positive and all of that. So, know that you get to curate your social media feed, and the algorithm is going to reward who you are at the time you log on. So you get to manage that.
I love when I see the comments page and it says, I built this thing brick by brick. They're talking about the algorithm, like they built their algorithm brick by brick when it's just the right video. Or it's like, I've had what is it, like unique experience or something like that. It's always something that's, but I like that you say that. We also play a role in our feed as well. And so I like that you say that. And so with that being said, so how do you identify a situation when it's best to act when it comes to investing, or it's best to wait?
That is so good. That's so good. So I'm gonna kind of give a hippie light kind of response here. Because sometimes I get in this energy like, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go. Right. I like to think that we know what's best for us, right? We know, and it's a whole body yes. When you do something, the best decisions that we've made, we feel like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? So you want to listen for that. You do not want to be, or not listen is not the right word. You want to notice how it feels in your body. You also want to make sure that you're not responding to someone else's false urgency, because that is a sales tip. It's a sales trick. Like, we only got 3 spaces left. Like, you need to jump on this now. It's false urgency, right? And it's making you make a decision really fast. And so you just want to be thoughtful that you're not responding to someone else's false urgency. You also want to make sure that you're not trying to force a square peg into a round hole. Does this thing align? Does it align with what your goals are? Does it align with your current financial situation? Does it align with your strategy that you set for yourself when you didn't have outside pressures, when you really just kind of looked inside to do a gut check to figure out what you wanted to accomplish, how you want to accomplish it, and when you wanted to accomplish it, right? And so make sure that opportunity aligns with that, and know that nothing that is for you will miss you. It just ain't, right? Now, if we keep putting our head in the sand, you're gonna miss the boat. So I'm not saying, I'm saying when you put your head out of the sand and you start to make these evaluations and these strategies and figure out what you want to do and the goals, and you know what I mean? You do all that work. But if you continue to put your head in the sand, you can miss, what's that parable that, when God is like, God, he was in a flood and he was on the roof and he was like, why you ain't help me? And God is like, I sent you a helicopter, a boat, and you know what I mean? Like, things can miss you, right? But if you are actively looking for opportunities, and if it's the right opportunity, it will become apparent to you. Now that is not the same question of if you ask, like, how do I evaluate opportunities? That's a little different, because there is a framework, and you should be conducting due diligence to make sure that again, this opportunity aligns with what your goals are, what you want to do, and how you want to accomplish your goals.
Mm. Well, that is a perfect segue into my next question, which is, what is a simple, because we like to keep it simple on
Simple. Got
Black
to
in
keep it
Business,
simple. Yes.
framework for assessing whether a new investment opportunity is a good fit for right now?
Okay. The simplest framework, because I do have I can go deeper, but the
I know,
simplest one
right?
is, can you afford it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And only you can answer that. Does this opportunity make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Like, is it selling some beans, some golden beans, or is it like a new AI,
Mm.
business that's solving a real consumer problem? And then lastly is, can this team actually win? Can they do the thing that they are saying they can do? And can they solve the problem that they're saying they can solve? Or even if it's commercial real estate, is this real estate, or whoever the person is that's like
Mm-hmm.
managing the deal or the fund or whatever, can they accomplish? Are they the right person to accomplish the goal that they're setting out? Or they're telling you they're going to do?
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And then now, so we know all the things in terms of at our own pace. Now I want to transition into the accessible path. So, what are
Oh,
some
yeah.
ways that entrepreneurs can explore alternative investments? We kind of touched on this, but without needing that huge amount up
Yeah.
front.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, So, fortunately,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a little bit of context. I mentioned that alternative investments is a white man's world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But things are starting to open up a little bit, because the big players, the Blackstones, the Apollo Global Managements, and just the really big players have figured out that institutional investors, those are your pension plans, endowments, all of those folks, they are already almost maxed out at how much they can invest in alts, specifically private equity. But like, they're pretty tapped out. Their portfolios are allocated. They ain't got I ain't got nothing left to give. Right? There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of growth there. So what they're doing is they are starting to look at, like, oh, well, how about individuals? Like, let's start to talk to individuals and sell these opportunities to them. So that's the state of the world we are in. So that
Yes.
means these investments are becoming more available, right? So even so, these are alternative. These entrepreneurs, let's say this is your side hustle and you still have a job, they're starting to now even offer alternative assets or investments in your 401ks. So if you still work in corporate America, whatever, I have thoughts. I'm not going to talk about it. There are a lot of companies that are offering now opportunities to invest in alternatives. Um, I'm just going to call them. I'm not endorsing them, but Yield Street is one. Fundrise is another. So they just exist. So if you Google that, there are a lot of now angel investment networks,
Yes.
right? So you connect with them and you get access to invest in different companies that are smaller companies, and do some venture investing that come through them. One angel network that is super dope, and I've made some investments with them, is Cap Table Coalition. It's founded by a Latino man, and like, it's black and brown and super friendly, and companies that come to it, and you get some really large companies that can come to it, and they are intentionally trying to diversify their cap table to get black and brown people on their cap table and get access to these type of things. Um, and then like, shameless plug. You can
Yes.
you can join our community, and potentially like learn more about what we're doing, learn more about alternative assets in general.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always sharing opportunities, and we're always investing. We are fortunate enough to have invested in, is it five? I think we're up to five unicorns. Uncle Nearest is one of them. We've invested in SpaceX. We've invested in ByteDance, which is a TikTok owner of TikTok. We've invested in sorry, we've invested in Form Energy, which is this energy company that is going to be massively important as we because AI is going to use way more energy than we've ever had to even produce globally before. So yeah, you should come hang out with us. We sit at the cool kids table, and we,
Yeah.
all are welcome.
Yes. And that's a great question. I mean, great point, shameless plug. Because so how do people get involved with the work that you are doing in terms of if they're ready for that next step?
Yeah, so you can visit us at marginscapital.com, and you can join our network there. We also have some additional resources, like if you just want to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've written some, shout out to Angela Rye, she calls it black papers, not just white papers no more, they black papers.
Love that.
But we've written some evergreen content to just introduce folks a little bit more to alternatives and what they mean and what they and also we have a wonderful paper about you know other additional things, because admittedly alternative investments are, it's kind of like the varsity of investing, if you will. It is like, and there are some basic things that you should be setting up, that you should do financially before you get there, right? Like you should
Mm-hmm.
be investing in your 401k, you should have a brokerage account, you should have 3 to 6 months savings, you should have an estate plan. Like these are things
Yeah.
like that, because ain't nobody trying to do a GoFundMe if God forbid something happens. And but the difference is, because admittedly we are behind, we're not out, we're just behind. You can do some of these things sequentially, right? It does not sequentially, excuse me, consecutive. That's not what I'm trying to say. You can do these things at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to do them one after the other,
Yeah.
or you don't have to do them sequentially. And so, yeah, like there's, oh, this is the other point that I was going to say, because just to double click, we're behind, but we're not out. We are living into our 80s and 90s. We are drinking our water, we're minding our
Yeah.
business, we're taking care of ourselves, right? So even though you didn't start investing at 18 or 25 or even 30, like even if you started investing at 30, you still got 40 years to your 70, 50 years until you're 80, right? So I am 47. I consider I have a good 30 more years to keep investing and building wealth, right? Because I'm be out here. I'm gonna live. I'm working on my weight. I'm working out. I'm drinking my water. Like,
Yes.
so there's a lot of time. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of time, but I do want you to have some urgency. I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think this is so timely because you've given us the things, you've given us the framework. We do need to have a sense of urgency. And this is the Black to Business podcast. So I want to talk about how all of this affects us as the Black community. Like, how can we make sure we're not left behind? And what are some of the things that you're seeing? What should we be doing? All the things.
Yes. So, Jensen Wang, I might be pronouncing his name wrong, but he's the founder of NVIDIA, and he says, with this advent of AI, this new season that we're currently migrating into, he said more millionaires are going to be created over the next 3 to 5 years than in the previous 20 with the advent of the internet. And I believe him,
Yeah,
right?
me
It's
too.
this, like, what's going to happen after, in the next 3 to 5 years is, the socioeconomic strata is going to look more like an hourglass,
Mm,
right? As opposed to, I guess, the rectangle that is now, which is probably not, it's not fully a rectangle, but it's going to be more of an hourglass, meaning all of us that are in the middle, we either got to go up or we're going to go down, right? And I ain't trying to be on the wrong side of the chasm, right? I'm trying to be on the top side.
Me either.
And right. And so the time is now. Like, even if you're not ready to start investing today, you are ready to start educating yourself today so that you are ready. I think about what's been playing in my head was when I went to business school in 2009. I had a it wasn't, well, yeah, I guess it was. It was a flip phone. I ain't gonna lie. It was a flip phone. It was 2009. Like, it was fine. I did not have a BlackBerry. I probably had a Palm Pilot, but I didn't have a BlackBerry. And when I got to business school, I remember everyone was using the iPhone, and I got an iPhone 3, right? And I knew how it was revolutionizing my life. I knew how it was changing everything. Girl, I could see my Outlook on my phone. I could, like, it was amazing. Like, and I saw that it was amazing. And I am in business school. I'm in one of the top 5 business schools. I'm taking finance classes. I'm majoring in finance, and I'm blowing money, right? Because unfortunately, what they'll tell you about business school, I went to Croatia, I went to Vail, I went to India. My first year, I'm blowing through money, right? And I did not take $1,000 and buy Apple stock. And if I had 16 years ago spent $1,000 on Apple stock, I would have over $2.5 million right now. I ain't doing that no more. I'm not. Right. It's like, okay, God, I done learned the lesson. It's fine. Right. It is fine. And this time, I don't want y'all to feel like that. like I tell Hove did that, so you don't have to go through that. Steph did that, right? So you don't have to experience that. And right now, I need y'all head to be on a pivot, because in the next 3 to 5 years, there are going to be plenty of opportunities like that. That's not going to take 16 years for you to build $2.5 million. If you make the right investments, if you pay attention, if you if you learn to manage your fears and unlearn some of the BS we've been taught, and you start that work now, you'll be ready for when that opportunity comes your way, and it will be aligned, and you will not be forcing a square peg into a round hole, and you will have $1,000 to put towards that thing to make you a couple $1 million in 3 to 5 years.
See, I think this is so good, because it's like we have to, at the same time, this is accountability and having that sense of urgency. And so, Stephanie, what do you say to that person who feels like they are starting too late?
No such thing, right? Well, okay, yeah. Everyone says investing, the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time to start is today, right? Like I told you, you're going to live way longer than you thought you would, right? And if you have family, like, we are in this game and we're doing this thing. When we talk about generational wealth, yes, we want to take advantage of some of it, but for the most part, we're building so that when we become the ancestors, the people behind us are going to thrive and be better off than if we hadn't done anything. Yeah. And so, it's not too late. It's only too late if you don't do anything. And that doesn't mean to leave your job and become a VC scout in Silicon Valley. That doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean change your career and only focus on finance. It doesn't mean, changing your entire social media algorithm so that you're only getting investment videos, right? It just means take your head out the sand and start to learn at your pace, right? And again, what's for you is for you, right? So you will find the pace that works for you, and you start to learn, and you'll be ready when that opportunity comes your way. One of the reasons why, we created the reason why I created What the Wealthy Do podcast. And the reason why I did it, it's 15 minutes, because this stuff is intimidating. It is, right? Like, and you're like, oh, I don't like math, or, oh, I blah, blah, blah. And what happens is it pushes, emotional trigger buttons that we probably haven't even unpacked where we got it from. Some of it is in our DNA, ancestral DNA, and some of it is from learned lessons that we got from our parents and family members or whatever. But the reason why we started What the Wealthy Do, and we do it in 15 minutes, because we want you to have small, digestible chunks. I need you to know this stuff, but I need you to be able to consume it in a way where it doesn't turn you off. It's not so intimidating that you're like, throw my hands up. Yeah. And so, listen to the podcast, but figure out a way or right, figure out a way for you to start learning in a digestible way for you that you can keep doing it. Right. A lot of us, we go to the gym, and if we don't go to the gym and spend an hour and a half working out, we feel like, it was a waste. No, it's not. 5 minutes is better than no minutes.
Right.
So, yeah.
I agree. Building those healthy habits and getting this information so we're not left behind and our head is not in the sand.
That's right.
And then I do want to ask you, with this, what role do you see this playing, as well as financial literacy, in helping close the wealth gap in the Black community?
It's everything. It's everything. So listen, alternatives in particular, a couple of things I want to say. Alternatives is why the wealth gap is widening, right? It's not, we buying houses now, right? It ain't home ownership. It's not. It's the techno bros, the Jensen Wangs, the Mark Zuckerbergs, continuing to invest in alternatives and building up their wealth and making their wealth bigger. There's an amazing statistic where 81% of ultra high net worth individuals, so those are individuals that are worth $30 million or more, invest half of their wealth in alternatives. That is what's contributing to the wealth gap, right? So starting to figure out how to incorporate alternatives in a way that's aligned into your own investment portfolio is what's going to help, at least it's going to help close the wealth gap, right? The other thing that that I think, so all these other organizations, all these big organizations that are talking about helping Black people create generational wealth might be a little performative, because who they're targeting is, how do I say? So, okay, you can target the underbanked. Like, I think the world thinks that we fall into two categories. We're either Jay-Z or LeBron James rich, or the underbanked. We don't even have a bank account. We go into check cash in place every week to get money. And there are a lot of us that are making six figures and up that are absolutely being forgotten and being ignored. And there are no, there are just no programs for us. And that's who my target market is for margins, because listen, the underbanked, I have family members, very, very close family members, who are in the underbanked, but they can't invest in alternatives. They got different problems, right? Right. And so it is what it is. But the people, but the people, those of us who are in the top 2 to 20% of earners in the US can and should and did. So sorry, and did.
It is true, though. It is that, like you said, it is for the people who are forgotten. And I think that we have to make sure that there are resources that are available. So if someone works, what's the process like working with margins? So what is it like onboarding? What are some of the things that you do? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah. So, okay. In an effort to not violate SEC law, what you can do is join the waiting list, and if you want to schedule a call with me, then I will send you my Calendly, and I will send you some documentation about what it is we do.
Gotcha.
And I will set up some time to chat with you. The SEC has very strict rules about marketing and whatnot. So, boom,
Gotcha.
I'll just leave it at that. Um, so yeah. So, but yes, you can. But even if you're not ready to talk,
Mm-hmm.
I feel, you know, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but but I've looked out there. I've seen what's out there. I do feel like we create a lot of value. And so joining our mailing list to get our newsletter and passively learning about what's in the news, and also following us on the socials. I work really hard at just putting out informational content. You can follow Margins Capital, or you can either follow Margins Capital on TikTok or Instagram, or you can follow me, Stephanie A. Dorsey, on TikTok or Instagram. And I am posting, very regularly about what's going on in the world and how to
Mm-hmm.
build wealth. And it's all factually based. I just can't help it. Like I'm a lawyer by training, and there's enough noise out here, so let me just give some facts. Facts are good, girl. The facts are good. I don't have to sensationalize the facts. Like,
The fact.
like the facts are good enough. um, and then you can listen to the What the Wealthy Do podcast.
Perfect. We're going to put all of these resources in the show notes. And Stephanie,
Yes.
what's some of your favorite resources? Like, what are you keeping up with these days to stay on top of things?
Yeah. So right now, what I'm doing, so it's funny. So you just keep giving yourself jobs when you're an entrepreneur. You know how that is. Like you just be like, oh, I can do that. And so one of the things that we're doing at Margins is we were fortunate enough to invest with IMB Partners, and is the fund manager there is Taurus Richardson. And so we're basically modeling Margins Capital off of IMB Partners. And so that means not only are we doing investing in alternatives, we are building out a holding company where we are doing private equity investments. So if we own more, owning more businesses will kick off cash so that we can stay in the game longer, so that we can continue to give out this free educational content without worrying about paying mortgages and student loans. And so our first, stuff is important. And so our first business that we acquired is a medical spa. We're currently in the process of evaluating other companies to acquire. And so my head is in this very entrepreneurial operator space. And I also just find it's so one of my favorite quotes is learn from the mistakes of others, because life is too short to make them all yourself. So I love listening to stories of other founders and entrepreneurs and what they did and learned and what didn't work well for them. So I am loving books. I always love books. I'm a nerd at heart. My first job was at a library. So I, am listening to books. One of the books I loved was Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? So that's the Reginald Lewis story. Also listening From Good to Great, and To Sell Is Human, because now I am a seller. Like that is what I didn't think I was in sales, but I am in sales. And then podcasts. You and I talked about this. I am really feeling right now Emma Greed's podcast, Aspire. And so I'm listening to that. I loved her interview on the Diary of a CEO podcast, but I also just listened to her Mark Cuban interview, and it was
listen to that one.
It was really, really good. It was great. So
Yes, I saw. So I'm a serial comment reader, so I saw Stephanie in the comments of Immigrants, and I was like,
I love it.
Yes, love it. I love
Yes.
the. Well, I love everything she's doing as well, and just like the representation, I think is good to see women just like going forward. Yeah,
Yes.
so very inspirational.
We out here, like we out here, and that was one of the reasons why I did the What the Wealthy Do podcast, because I wanted to show like, hey, it's not just the guys or the finance bros that know a little something about money. We all know about money. Girl, there's this amazing statistic. If you look at Black women in particular, we are um, the leaders, the financial leaders or decision makers in our household. Like I ran the numbers, and we control about $900 billion of spending power
Wow.
in the
Wow.
US every year.
The power.
Girl,
The
the
power.
power, the power. Yes, we are
Yes.
powerful. Yes.
Mm. See, I love to hear stuff like that. It just motivates me and
Mhm.
encourages me even more.
Yep.
And my final question to you is, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Oh, how beautiful. That is so beautiful. I've been undoing all of the social conditioning that we received for the last, well, that I mean, I'm 47. Um, but I've been working on this for the last, like, I would say 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, and that means like no longer dimming my light, no longer saying, oh, it's no big deal, like, anybody could, get a JD MBA, like, and all of that, which is crazy. And so learning to step into my power, um and also learning that the feeling and the love that I have for my community, it too is a superpower, right? There are so many women. When I look at Miley Teal, I look at Rachel Rogers, I look at Emma Greed, like their very existence helps me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thank them anytime I get a chance. And when I talk to Rachel Rogers, I thank when I commented on the My League post, thank you for living out loud, because
Mm-hmm.
you doing that gave me permission to live my truly authentic life as well. And I just want to be that for someone else coming behind me. And know that the love that I have for my community is a superpower. And so me doing this work, like I said, girl, we out here doing God's work. Me
That's
doing
right.
this work um is how I know I'm gonna win.
Woo, that is a word. That is a word, truly and truly powerful. I mean, I love everything about it. And I think we need to see that. We need to hear that. And you truly are like in this industry alone and making it known that this is something we need to be paying attention to and this is how we can do it. So, one, appreciate you so much for the work that you do. Appreciate you for showing up for our community and just pouring into it. And so I thank you so much for being on the Black to Business podcast, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
We love it. What we talked about today was bigger than just investing. It was about reclaiming our seat at the table and making sure we are not locked out of the wealth building opportunities that can change the course of our businesses and our lives. Stephanie reminded us that we do not have to wait until we quote unquote arrive to start, and that we can create our own path, one that works for our pace, our values, and our vision. For us as Black entrepreneurs, that kind of access and agency is a powerful step towards closing the wealth gap and also building a legacy. So, 3 key takeaways from this conversation. You do not have to be wealthy to start investing in alternative assets. Start where you are and grow from there. 2, invest in alignment with your values and at a pace that lets you rest easy at night. And then 3rd, educate yourself now so when the right opportunity does come, you are ready to move with confidence. For more information and resources from today's episode, head over to blacktobusiness.com/265. And if this conversation inspired you, share it with another entrepreneur you know who is ready to think bigger about building wealth. I appreciate you for being a part of the Black to Business family and also tuning into this conversation. Your commitment to learning, to growing, and leading with purpose is exactly how we keep building something that lasts. Keep building boldly and keep pushing the culture forward. Later.